GoneWild today is we're just kind of messing around with some things, and Brad and I, this is Brad Roether from Milford, and we've been kind of talking about, questions that people ask us, and from the zebra mussels to the net and the carp to the biggest one is the blue green algae. And although I don't claim to be an authority on blue green algae, we're going to talk a little bit about how the signs read and the signs you see on the lake, or to tell what's out there, so people can be a little more aware of it. So can we start here? We're at a boat ramp. So.
And actually, we're up the Army Marina today. The Corps has went in and put these in almost at every boat ramp on the lake, and they've really made it really simple for us. They've put our lake into 3 zones, A, B, and C. What's nice about this is then they can take a zone, and in this center deal, it shows you, like Zone A down here by the dam this week, it's clear. Zone B is in a watch. Zone C is already in a warning this year. Here it is, the end of June. But what people got to remember on this is, even though Zone C is in a warning, you can actually still find places here that the blue-green algae isn't there. And they might tell you that you're in a warning here, but yet you might see blue-green algae in them. We see it on Farnham a lot, when it's up here. Madison Creek.
Dam, you see it. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, this week it bloomed down here, but unfortunately for everybody at the north end, this wind is a southwest wind, south wind, and it blows the blue-green algae, and it seems like it always ends at the north end of the lake. Pushes it in. But it's nice that the Corps has come out. There are so many things that they're doing now that they didn't do 5 years ago. I mean, you can call numbers. They post numbers on some of this stuff to where you can call the Kansas Department of Health and Environment to the Corps, and it really explains a lot more awareness of it. Now, when them things are in a warning, which we'll probably show you today of some of that area, you really don't want to be in them areas. You wouldn't want your grandkid in there. I sure wouldn't want mine in there.
This stuff is, at times, it's toxic.
Very much.
And when, has it taken lives? Obviously, we don't know.
No. I mean, I think there's people that actually they've tested that it affects. All them studies that we have went to, it's more the infants, the little kids, because they'll drink the water. That's, our bodies will fight it off. But I mean, we've heard people getting rashes and that kind of stuff. But I think it's more for the little infants than anybody.
Pets, we do
dogs,
know it affects, like, liver of the dog.
Which, I mean, and here again, the Corps has done a great job on Milford to kind of keep your pets away, livestock away from the water when it's in a warning. Now they can, and actually we've talked about this, Jen, there's times that if the cell count gets up out of that warning, they can actually legally put a closed on our lake.
So they can close, which it has here,
yes.
Watch, warning, and closed, which I don't know how they monitor all that, but
it's all on a cell count.
Right, you got to use your head. If even, like Brad said, even if Zone B or Zone A isn't in a warning, I saw some kids paddling in a little stand-up kayak thing, and the gal fell off. She was under the bridge at Farnham, and she come up and she was green, and I'm thinking, girl, get out of that. Go the other side of the side of the bridge. It was clear.
It's just awareness. I mean, you can boating. I mean, that we're driving down the lake and you see a boat go by and the green waves coming. You're in that area. Milford's 16,000 acres. You can find somewhere on Milford to ski and to get in the water.
It says here, people ask me all the time, are the fish safe to eat? They tell us they are. I mean, we've been eating. They just rinse your fillets well, discard everything. But apparently it doesn't affect that part of it.
The fishing, I mean, I spoke with our fish biologist here on the lake, John Rinke. I mean, it has not affected that. The only thing that is a concern maybe is when that stuff does die, and we've seen it that thick up on top, oxygen levels might, but then fish will move. They'll move out of that oxygen level. They're going to go where the oxygen is. So far, it hadn't affected our fishing at all.
And so, this stuff has been around for a long time, Brad.
Man.
Now, back in the 70s when we water skied, and even before, you'd ski through it and you thought it was kind of cool. I don't know if that was the blue-green algae. We don't know.
No. this isn't just Milford. This is a nationwide deal that's going on. Actually, your mayor of Clay Center got to speak with the governor over it. I had the privilege of having the governor on my boat, and we spoke to him. The state knows that they have to do something, and they are. I mean, they've got a RAPS program right now that they're really forking the money in, and that's taking care of the Republican Valley. But you mentioned a little while ago about the carp. This was a study that the state did, and I think it was Great Bend, a little city lake in Great Bend, where they went out, Jan, and they put some buffers in the water and got all the carp out of there. By the aerial, it was all clear water. Outside that was all the blue-green algae. So they went in and netted that lake out of all the carp, and they don't have blue-green algae.
And so, speaking of that algae, it'll sink and it'll kind of lay down until conditions are right. And what makes conditions right are zebra mussels here, we have.
That contributed so much to this. That clears the water up.
Right. So light penetration makes it grow, or
heat, and you know just as well as I do, on a calm day, we get a bloom. That heat hitting that water, boom, that sun rays getting down there, and it really triggers it. What they're saying in these studies on them carp is they're down there, especially like up here at this end of the lake, them carp are stirring that mud and that sealed up. Well, that's where that and that's getting that blue-green algae. Yeah. So and actually state, now the KDHE, they're actually spending money. The state is spending money for these people to come in and take them carp out. Now they're taking buffalo too, but they're actually paying another department, Kansas Wildlife and Parks, is getting paid. So the state's spending money on one end and getting money on the other end as far as trying to get some of these carp out of here. So I don't know. It looks like long-term, it's going to be a long-term deal to try to get rid of this, but they're trying. I mean, I think the state's actually trying to get different programs started. I know that RAPS, like I said, that RAPS program is huge. That's not a Band-Aid. That's a long-term. That's putting the buffers in and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. All in all, you hear all the time that, oh man, you don't want to come to Milford. Well, we're fine. This lake is huge enough you can find a spot to go.
Just use your head.
That's the main thing.
You can, and we'll show you. It's a little overcast today. We can still see a lot of green algae here. If it's sunny, if the sun was shining like it was when we pulled up, you can see this bloom for miles. I mean, you can see shadows of it.
The only thing that the state does come in, like this Monday, they came in and they come and get the samples, which they sample like 7 different spots on the lake. They'll take that sample, it gets sent in, and then by Thursday they come out with the announcement of how they're going to put the zones in, which I might add, I mean, there's times that they'll come up here, unfortunately for us, Monday, 100 degrees, dead calm, there was a bloom. I was on the lake. It was terrible. So no doubt, it'll probably come in hot. But the next day we had the north wind come in and blew trees down there on the lake. It stirs that up. So, I mean, one day you might have it, the next day you don't. That's the main concern. It's your eyes looking at that water really telling exactly what areas you want to be in and not.
I know years ago when we first noticed this, or really noticed, and they were telling us it was blue-green algae, we'd see it in July and August on those dog days.
Hot.
Now, since the zebra mussels are here, we're getting this in May.
Yes, as early in the middle of May. We got high water this year, and that kind of helped us not see that as much. We had 12-foot high water. It kind of helped us. We got through Memorial Weekend, but then now 4th of July coming, we're going to be faced with it, and no doubt the rest of the season with that high water, it's going to hurt us.
So you got a little idea how your maps are, and there is numbers you can probably call and get some info, but we've already put in here, and it's not terrible in here today. Nope. But we're gonna drive around and show a few spots on the lake, and we'll see if we can't show you, some of this stuff later in the fall. This stuff that you'll see today, this algae, it'll actually get this color, a turquoise,
yeah. Yes.
A white turquoise color, and I don't know, it gets more toxic the more color it gets, I think.
When you're out on the lake and you see the little green, I mean, just little deal, that is actually the bloom.
It's coming up.
The water's clear. You can see the bloom. But when you see that I always say John Deere paint.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. I mean, it's that color green.
It's dead,
That
dying.
is, and then you'll notice the odor. You know, it has a odor because it's died. You know, it's dead. So it has that odor.
Okay. Well, let's go take a look and see if we can show you folks what some of it looks like.
You can just see. I mean, it's almost like somebody dumped paint. You can just kind of see where that lure come right up through there. But this is the stuff that really people should stay out of. I mean, I don't think you'd want your pet drinking water out of this, and you sure wouldn't want your infant, you know, little kids especially. This stuff has died and it's pushed into the bank.
When they test, do they test in the same places?
Yes, all 7 of the spots they test on Milford every time is in the same spot. Now they do have I've watched them do it. They've got a little instrument that they put out. They don't, if they see that right there, they wouldn't take that. They got a little instrument that they go out and they scoop it up.
All right.
You know, in all fairness. So some of these areas, I mean, Army Marina, it's always a south wind. The Wakefield boat ramp, you know, it always tests out. Even the city of Milford, where we test right down there at our own docks down there, you know, that south wind, and it's kind of a cove. It puts it in there, but they do go outside that range because they understand that this is all pushed, like right here in this cove. We could go to the next cove over here and there might not be anything in there. But when you see this, not so much on the bank, but when you see this color out in the lake, that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
we saw it earlier. The sun's trying to peek out now. You can
see it coming off that point right there. And actually out there half a mile, you can see it with, you know, good glasses.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but right off this point, right here, it's pushed in and it's dark green here. I can actually see a cast of it, which we'll drive out there and see, but
that, I mean, I guess my whole deal is, yes, it's in these coves, but when you see that type of green, there, like I said, there are so many places on this lake you can go and get out of that, pulling your kids on skis, jet skis, all that, you know. Fishing wise, it doesn't really affect that, but as far as getting in the water, that's when you need to really actually go to a different spot on the lake.
okay. All right, let's go put around. We do want to come back and do a show on or show you the nets. Show you the guys when they're netting the carp. They're not here today. There they go again.
Are they jumping? I don't know if you could. I mean, my deal here is, this is some real heavy blue green algae right here. And look, it doesn't affect the fish. The fish are here, you know.
Does it affect the catching?
Well, yeah. My buddy here wants to look at this. I don't know, Aaron, if you can see all that right there. Look at all these fish. There's definitely something in there chasing these. These are large shad right here, but something's chasing these shad. They wouldn't be just up being happy shad. They're getting chased. Big blue, maybe some wipers. I guess that was my whole deal with blue green algae. Fishing wise, it doesn't affect us at all. I mean, there's, as you can see, now if Jan could just catch one to prove that point, but I don't know if he can or not.
I'm not really trying. I'm just making sure my bait's running good. All right, one more.
A little weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That was kind of, did you get them jumping? That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Obviously, they're a little bigger than the bait I'm throwing.
Good. Well, that's good. I mean, I guess the whole point is there's still fish here. Blue green algae still got the fish in here. I don't know. We can.
I mean, it's obviously they're. You know, everybody's working hard on it. It's not a short term.
No, I mean, the short term. I mean, there's little things. And then there was one thing that we did not discuss. In some of these studies that they've found, that we're thinking about lowering the lake level a little more in the wintertime to cause that to go down and let them banks have that dryness on them. And then in the spring, we get our spring rains, that them banks that are low, that are exposed, our mud banks, would cloudy the water up to where it would take a little bit longer for, main thing is because zebra mussels. That would dirty that water up. That might drive some of them zebra mussels out. By lowering it, we're killing them. The one year we had high water, they dropped it. Oh, you remember all the zebra mussels. Here in the last few years, we haven't seen as many zebra mussels. So, I mean, there's things like that. I mean, besides the carp, the little things that they're trying to take care of. That would be another one that they're trying to do. They're looking into the studies of actually, they usually drop our lake about 3 to 4 foot. They're maybe thinking about dropping a little more after the duck season, because you got to take care of the duck hunters. But in that January, February, March time frame of dropping that, and that way in the spring we'd start out at a lower level, which might not be fun for maybe some people, but then let the spring rains bring it up slow, and that would keep that muddy water up for us to help us out on the Blue Green.
Kind of tried that this year, but it came up a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and they only let 2 foot out. I thought they were supposed to let 4 foot out, but they did the 2 foot. But like I say, we got that rain and it was up. 10 to 12 feet high in no time. So the little Band-Aid deals are going to help us, but long term, it's.
So people are working hard to try to figure this out, because like we were talking earlier, it's here, it's to the Great Lakes, it's
California. California has it. I mean, everybody's faced with this. It's it's just not Milford Lake. It's just not Kansas. It's funny that Wilson Lake's salty. They don't have it there, but Marion is fighting this. Fighting it bad. Who would have ever thought Tuttle Creek would have blue-green algae? Last year was the first time they actually had a case of blue-green algae on Tuttle Creek. And that thing stays mud all the time. Now, I don't know if they have zebra mussels over there, but they're doing things. That's the main thing. The safety issue is, when you see it on some of these pictures, it's just smart just not to even get in it. Why take the chance?
Go to another part of the lake.
Go to another part of the lake. Lake is huge, 16,000 acres here, so you'll find a place to go.
Okay. Well, Brad, let's go load up before we get rained on.
I hear you.
We'll try to get back and do one on
the carp.
On the carp and the buffalo. That'd be a fun one to do.
That'd be fun to see.
Yeah. They're just not netting today.
Nope.
So, all righty.